Okay, I'm going to start this morning by just welcoming all of you guys. Welcome to Wat Tung. Nice to see everyone here. Welcome to everyone online as well who's joining us. Today is our group learning program, and we're actually finishing up this iteration of our group learning program. And on Sunday, we're going to be restarting from the very beginning. We're having our official restart of the group learning program. What the group learning program is where I'm helping students gradually walk through this book to be able to understand the teachings of the Buddha, to be able to help you get to enlightenment. Each Sunday, I go chapter by chapter, and I help students to understand the path to enlightenment using the original words of the Buddha. And you can actually get this book for free. You can download it from our website. You can take it and go print it. You can get printed versions here by just reimbursing us for our printing cost, or you can get it on Amazon if you have access to Amazon. Because what the Buddha did is he trained his mind to get to this enlightened mental state where your mind can be peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy, where you no longer experience any discontent feelings. By the time you get to enlightenment, you no longer experience any anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment, jealousy. All these feelings and others are completely eliminated from the mind through training of the mind. Oftentimes people think that it's other people that are causing you to experience these feelings, but in reality it's your own mind that's actually causing these feelings, and because of that you can actually train your mind to eliminate them. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to guide you in a meditation to get us started, and then afterwards what I do on Wednesdays is I just open up to any and all questions that you guys have. Where on Sundays I walk you through this book and I gradually help you to learn, but on Wednesdays I just kind of guide you in meditation and then open up to any and all questions. On Sundays I take questions too, but on Wednesdays it's kind of like a free-form question day. Today what we're going to be doing is what's called loving kindness meditation. This is a meditation that's going to help you eliminate your anger, your frustration, agitation, annoyance, even the slightest dislike. Right now, there might be certain people in your life that you like, and there might be certain people that you dislike, but that's actually coming from your own mind. You have certain expectations. There's certain things you want from this person, and if they do things your way, you like them, but if they don't do things your way, you might be angry or frustrated or agitated or annoyed in this situation. You might dislike them, and as long as you're doing this, you're not going to be able to live harmoniously with all beings, because if the mind gets what it wants, it gets happy and excited. But if the mind doesn't get what it wants or expects, then you might get frustrated or agitated or annoyed. And this is where you might push people away out of your life. This is called aversion, where you push people away or you push the situation away. Or the next thing you might do is you might be bitter and harsh and hostile to somebody through your intentions, your speech, and your actions. It's almost like an animal growling and roaring at another animal, trying to fear it to do things your way. Or you might put expectations on people and try to control them. Well, this isn't really the best way to live life, because in this situation where you're pushing people away, you're being bitter, harsh, and hostile, or you're putting your expectations on people, you can't live harmoniously with all beings, because it's only a matter of time before you encounter someone who's doing something opposite of the way that you're doing it. Even your long-term friends. You could be friends with someone for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Eventually, they're going to do something in a way that you didn't expect them to do it. And if you can only spend time with someone who does things your way, there's only one person in the world that does things your way all the time. Do you know who that person is? Who does things your way all the time? You, right? So if you can only love people and like people and be friendly and joyful and respectful to people who do things your way, it's only you that you're going to be able to love and be enjoyable spending time with. So you can actually get to a point where you understand that you can love the person but disagree with their choices and decisions that they make, because the choices and decisions that people make are going to oftentimes be very different than you, and that's okay. Right? But sometimes with our ego and our mind in the unenlightened state, we think our way is the right way, and the way everyone else does things is the wrong way. And if they don't do it my way, I can't like them or I can't love them. So this meditation of loving kindness meditation is going to help you transform that anger, that bitterness, the hostility, the resentment into love and kindness, where you have a genuine interest in seeing all beings be well. It also helps you with any negative self-talk. If you have like an inner dialogue where you're degrading and diminishing to yourself, this is going to help you with that as well. So I'll explain to you guys how we do this, and then I'll actually do it with you. And then afterwards, that's when I'll open up to questions that you guys have. We start our meditation with some chanting to ease us into the meditation. And I see some of you guys have chanting sheets. They're actually over there on the cabinet. You're welcome to help yourself to get one. For those of you guys that are online, if you'd like to get access to this, you can go to buddhadailywisdom.com, click on free books, and then down towards the bottom, you'll be able to see the daily chanting sheet. During the lifetime of the Buddha, they used chanting as a way to commit the teachings to memory. Everything he taught was oral. The technology to write things down didn't exist in that region of the world, so they used chanting every 2 weeks to commit the teachings to memory. And they would recite these teachings within their own mind, and they would say them orally, and this helped them to be able to remember what he actually taught. So the chanting isn't a rite, a ritual, or a ceremony or worship. It's not prayer or anything like that. It was solely used during the lifetime of the Buddha as a learning device to be able to help people to understand the teachings by committing them to memory first, because you wouldn't be able to practice his teachings to train your mind if you hadn't remembered them. So they would use chanting as a way to remember his teachings. So it's important to understand when you're chanting these, it's not a rite, a ritual, or a ceremony or worship or prayer. Even if you've been exposed to those things related to the teachings of the Buddha never taught any of those kinds of things. It was always about training the mind. There was no rites, rituals, ceremonies, and worship or prayer during the lifetime of the Buddha. He didn't do those things or teach those kinds of things. He taught you to train your mind. Now, if you read these chants, you're going to see a lot of appreciation, gratitude, and respect for the Buddha. We're going to be chanting in the Pali language, but you can see the English translations. And there's a lot of appreciation, gratitude, and respect for him. And because of that, I don't think the Buddha actually created these chants himself. They were probably created by his students, because a Buddha wouldn't walk around saying, here, chant these things to me out of respect for me, because this would be putting yourself up high. This would be like boastfulness or arrogance or pride. And an individual who's gotten to enlightenment doesn't do that. They don't put themselves up above people and look down on other people. They just consider themselves to be equal amongst all individuals. But if you learn from a teacher how to move from the anger and the sadness and the frustration and all those other discontent feelings to this peaceful and joyful mental state, which is a permanent mental state, and this person didn't want anything from you or expect anything from you, they just helped you out of the kindness of their heart, you'd probably have a lot of appreciation, gratitude, and respect for that person too. So that's why I suspect that these chants came from his students, either during his life or after his death. So we're going to use these to ease the mind into meditation, because that's how we use chanting nowadays. We don't need to chant in order to commit the teachings to memory, because we have books, audiobooks, videos, podcasts, all these different things. So I'll be chanting this, which you guys are welcome to join along with as we ease into the meditation. Once we get into the meditation, I'm going to be providing you guidance on breathing mindfulness meditation. I'm going to be instructing you in the meditation while we're actually doing it. And then there's going to be a period of time, maybe just a few minutes, where we're actually doing the breathing mindfulness meditation. This kind of prepares the mind for the loving kindness meditation. Then I'm going to come back in with some guidance on loving kindness meditation, where you're going to hear me saying these affirmations like, may I be peaceful. And when you hear that, you would like to repeat it within your own mind on the out breath. Then you're going to hear me say, may I be safe. And then again, you repeat that on the out breath. May I be well. May I be free of all discontentedness and the suffering it causes. So each one of those you repeat within your own mind on the out breath. Then I'm going to go through some various rings, and then eventually we're going to get to all beings. Right? And then from there, we're going to go back to breathing mindfulness meditation, and we're going to go back to the chanting, and that's where we'll come out of the meditation. So this meditation is kind of like what I think of like a loving kindness sandwich, where in the middle you've got loving kindness, the lettuce and tomato holding it, or the lettuce and tomato is the breathing mindfulness meditation on each side. And then you've got kind of the bread holding it all together, which is the chanting. So we're going to be doing this meditation, and what it's doing is it's transforming your mind away from the anger, the bitterness, the hostility, and things like this. So when you hear me say things like, may mom and dad be peaceful, this isn't invoking some kind of special power to make mom and dad peaceful, or we're not trying to force or control mom or dad to be peaceful. Instead, what you're doing is you're transforming your mind to think in more loving and kind ways towards your parents, so that when you're around your parents, you can function with more love and more kindness. Because now when you're functioning with more love and more kindness in your relationships, this is what's going to help to transform them. So the way you might think about this meditation is you're kind of filling up your gas tank and you're going out into the world through your intention, speech, and actions and being more loving and more kind. Because oftentimes when we have bitterness and hostility or resentment in our mind, we want the other person to change. That might be where you're at with some of your relationships, where you want the other person to change. But you're not going to get to peacefulness that way. You actually need to change your mind. So this meditation and all the other meditations that the Buddha teaches is to change your mind. So now when you go out into the world, you function with more peacefulness and more joy. You function with more love and more kindness, more compassion. And now when you're putting that out in your relationships, you'll see more and more of that coming back to you. You shouldn't expect that to occur, but that is what will occur as you're being more loving and kind through your intention, speech, and actions. The people around you will start treating you with more love and more kindness. So this is what we're going to do for the meditation. And then, as I mentioned, after the meditation, I'll just open up to any and all questions that you guys have. In terms of your body position for meditation, there's 4 positions that the Buddha taught for meditation: seated, lying, standing, and walking. This particular meditation, we typically do it in the seated, lying, or standing. We don't do it in the walking position. So you can really take whatever position you like, but I'll give you a little bit of guidance on the seated position because that's the one that most people are usually starting off with. You can sit however you're comfortable. There isn't just one way to actually sit for meditation because all of our bodies are different and we're going to find different things to be comfortable. You can sit on the floor, you can sit on a chair, a bench, a sofa, a wheelchair. You can sit however you're comfortable. If you're on the floor, you might have some cushions under your rear. This kind of softens your seat a little bit. And if you're going to cross your legs, you would like to do that just softly, because if you have them real tight, it'll impede the circulation and cause pain in the lower body. Some people like to put their legs off the mat. This gets your hips up in the air and it lessens the angle at the hips, the knees, and the ankles. So you might consider that. With your hands in your arms, the Buddha put his right hand over his left with his thumbs together, and he put this into his lap. If you would like to use that, you can, but it's not about everyone doing it exactly the same way. Different people will find things to be comfortable. So there's other options here. You could put your palms on your thighs or your knees. You could put your palms up. You could rest your hands comfortably in your lap. So you can find whatever's comfortable for you. These are just suggestions for you to consider. And for anybody who's in a chair or a bench or a sofa or a wheelchair or anything like that, you can also sit however you're comfortable. Some people like to put their feet flat on the floor or lightly cross at the ankles, but you can see me, I'm in a chair here with my legs crossed, so that's an option as well. And then the hands and arms can go wherever you're comfortable. In terms of your upper body, it's helpful if this is erect, with your sternum up and your shoulders back. It'll help keep the mind attentive and alert during the meditation, because this is a dedicated, active, purposeful training session where you're eliminating certain unwholesome qualities from the mind and you're cultivating certain wholesome qualities in the mind. And you need the mind to be attentive and alert during this period. So by having the sternum up and the shoulders back, it'll help keep the mind attentive and alert. Because if you were slouched, the mind would have a tendency to be dull or lethargic. But if you were real rigid, the mind could be overactive or uptight. So you'd like the upper body to be in the middle where it can be attentive and alert for the mind. It also helps you to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, making meditation easier for you. So again, I'm going to chant on the way in, and you guys are welcome to join, and then I'll come back in with the guidance for you. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Mahakawa Wat Tung Mahakawanang Apiwateyami Sawakato Mahakawata Tammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Mahakavato Sāvaka Saṅkho Sanghang namami. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Iti piso bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vicacaranang sammuno Sakato rokawitu Anutero purisa Dhamma sati satatawa manusarang Bhutto Bhagavati. Okay, with the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, and the upper body erect, just close the eyes and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here you're just looking to establish the breath. A nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not match up to the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathing gradually through the nose, developing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Once the breath is well established, start fixating the mind on the breath, either the sound of the breath coming into the nose or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that it moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thought, label it, judge it, analyze it, or even try to figure out where it's coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind is moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to be quiet now and let you do this work of focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. Then I'll be back with more guidance on loving kindness meditation. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. Continuing to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Repeat these affirmations in the mind on the out breath. May I be peaceful. May I be safe. May I be well. May I be free of all discontentedness in the suffering that it causes. May mom and dad be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness in the suffering that it causes. May my family, friends, neighbors, and co-workers all be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness in the suffering that it causes. May all those who have harmed me be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness in the suffering that it causes. May all those who I have harmed be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness in the suffering that it causes. May all beings, wherever they reside, be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness and the suffering that it causes. Now return back to breathing mindfulness meditation, focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. Breathing in and out. อะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธมหะเกวาพุทธังมหาเกวันหังอภิวาเทมิสวากขาโตมหาเขวัตตาธัมโมธัมมังนัมสสามิสุปฏิปันโนมหาเขวัตโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินับโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนับโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนับโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมหะเขวาอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิจาจารนังสัมมุโนสกขาโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรปุริสาดัมมาสติสัตตาตาวามนุสนังพุทโธภะคะวะติ Okay, if you guys would like to slowly make your way out of meditation. Once again, welcome to everyone. Nice to see everyone here this morning. Welcome to everyone online as well. Welcome to Wat Tung. Today, as I mentioned, is our group learning program where I share a bit of the teachings of the Buddha, just giving you guys a little bit of a taste, and then I just open up to any and all questions that you guys have. Where on other days, I'm really teaching you and guiding you on this path to enlightenment to get to this peaceful and joyful mental state that the Buddha taught. What the Buddha is teaching you is how to train your mind and uproot certain pollutions out of the mind. He did this for himself, and he figured it out, and then he shared it for the 45 remaining years of his life, from the age of 35 to 80. He shared what did he do in order to get to this peaceful and joyful mental state. So there aren't any beliefs in the teachings of the Buddha. It's not a bunch of beliefs and then hoping something good happens when you die. Instead, you're learning, examining, investigating teachings. You're reflecting on them to independently verify them, and then you're practicing them, integrating various tools and techniques into your day-to-day life in order to actively train your mind and uproot these pollutions out of the mind. This particular meditation is designed to eliminate the anger, hatred, ill will, the bitterness, the harshness, the hostility, agitation, frustration, even the slightest dislike in the mind. By the time you get to enlightenment, you can like everybody. Right now, there might be certain people that you like and certain people that you dislike, but this is just coming from your own mind. There's certain expectations, certain things you want this person to do or this person to be, and when they meet those, You might like them or you might feel happy. But then when people don't do things your way, that's where the anger and the frustration comes in. That's where someone might dislike another individual. And you can get to the point where you understand the world is impermanent, that not everybody is going to do things exactly the same way. Some people are going to sit a certain way. Maybe some of you guys have one cushion. Some of you guys have 2, 3, 4 cushions. This is all impermanence. We all make different choices. Whereas if we have expectations of other people, if I expected everybody to use 5 cushions and then somebody has 1 or 2 or 3 meditation cushions, then maybe I'd be angry or frustrated because I have this expectation that everybody will use exactly the same number of cushions, right? This is a silly example, but I'm just giving it to you because it is a silly example and to show you how silly the expectations are that the mind has. You might have certain expectations of someone to talk a certain way or look a certain way or put their hair a certain way or function a certain way when they're interacting with you. And you can get to a point where you have love for all beings. What it means to love another being is to have a genuine interest in seeing them be well. That's what love is, a genuine interest in seeing them be well, where you're not judging them, you're not looking down on them, you're not trying to determine whether they deserve your love or not, but you have a genuine interest in seeing them be well. Unfortunately, in the unenlightened state, we tend to lack wisdom of what is true love, which is unconditional love. We tend to have what's called craving, desire, attachment, which is masquerading as love, and it complicates our relationships. This might be one of the reasons why you're having broken relationships over and over and over again, because if you don't understand what true love is and you're not practicing true love, you will have broken relationships over and over and over again. So what we tend to do with our lack of wisdom of what is true love is we will have certain wants and expectations. Let's just say, for example, like a life partner. We might meet somebody and we're physically attracted to them. Maybe we're intellectually attracted to them. Maybe we're attracted to their financial abilities or their social status in society. And now we're attracted to this person. And we get to know this person a little bit. And as we're getting to know this person, maybe after a few weeks or a few months, we might get to a point where we say, I love you. And they say, I love you too. And you say, because I love you, I want you to be with me because you make me happy. Right? And they're like, sure, I'll be with you. I'll make you happy. I'll be with you and I'll make you happy. I'll spend all this time with you. But then you guys spend all this time together. And over time, your expectations of this person grow and grow and grow, wanting them to do more and more things for you. And same thing with them. And they can't meet your expectations all the time. When they do things your way, you're happy. But when they don't do things your way, you'll be frustrated or agitated or annoyed. And then eventually this relationship gets to be so much anger or frustration in the relationship, you guys might break up. And now you say, I don't love you anymore. I have fallen out of love with you. Okay, this isn't love. There might have been love in there, but that's not the actual love. What's happening is this individual has certain expectations, certain wants, and as long as this person is meeting those expectations, you will say, I love you, and you will function as if you love them. You will do things as if you love this person. But then when they stop doing things your way, you'll say, I don't love you anymore. People might have done this to you, where at the beginning of the relationship, they said, I love you. And then over time, you stop doing things their way, and they say, I don't love you anymore. This isn't love. This is selfishness. This is your own desires, wanting this person to be a certain way. And as long as you do things my way, I will say I love you and I will act as if I love you. But as soon as you stop doing things my way, I don't love you anymore. I have fallen out of love with you. This isn't love. This is craving, desire, attachment masquerading as love. We might call this conditional love. There's no such thing as conditional love, but we might call it that, where it's like if you meet this condition, in this condition, in this condition, in this condition, in this condition, then I will love you. But if you don't meet these conditions, I don't love you anymore. This isn't actual love. This is craving, desire, attachment, masquerading as love. It's all about me. It's I love you, therefore I want you to be with me because you make me happy, right? What unconditional love is, what true love is, which you would like to get to in all your relationships, is where you love this person as they are. It's unconditional love. You didn't do anything to earn my love, so therefore there's nothing you can do for me to stop loving you. I just have a genuine interest in seeing you be well. And part of you being well is not putting your expectations on other people. When you're putting expectations on other people and trying to control them, then that's your selfish desires, wanting them to be a certain way. And this is the problem where people have this difficulty, because we grow up in a household typically with parents who we understand should love us. And what they oftentimes do is they put their expectations on us, and they try to control us, and they try to force us to do things a certain way. And we think that's their love. And they think that's their love too. They think if they get you to do things their way, that they're loving you, because they want you to have a certain type of life, instead of realizing that you are your own independent being and you need to make your own decisions. You are responsible for your own wellness, your own peacefulness, your own joy. But what oftentimes people do when they have craving, desire, attachment is they want this person to be a certain way, and now they put expectations on them and try to control them. So as long as you're doing that, that's not the love. What you would like to get to is where you love all beings as they are, understanding that they are responsible for their own peacefulness, their own joy. So essentially, instead of I love you, therefore I want you to be with me, it's I love you, therefore I would like to see you be well. And part of you being well is to make your own decisions, free of any expectations from other people, right? As soon as you start putting expectations on people, you're trying to control them and force them to do things your way. And this is going to cause conflict, because those people aren't going to want to do things your way. So in your relationships, you might be doing this where you're pushing people away, you're being bitter, harsh, and hostile, or you're putting your expectations on people. And that's not the love. That's oftentimes when people die, for example, you might think that what's causing that sorrow and sadness is your love. That's not what's causing the sorrow and sadness, because having a genuine interest for others to be well doesn't cause sadness. What's causing the sadness is the mind is holding on. It's craving permanence. It's wanting things to be a certain way. And if grandma and grandpa are alive, you're happy. But if they die, you're sad or frustrated. All that's happened here is impermanence. Your family members, your friends, your brothers and sisters, they are not permanent in your life. They're going to be coming and going in and out of your life. But if your mind craves permanence, you can only be happy when this person is in your life. Someone could literally kill your mother and you would still love them. It doesn't mean you agree with what they did. It's that you love the person. It's that you can disagree with the choices and decisions that they made while still loving the person, meaning you have a genuine interest in seeing them be well. But oftentimes in this situation, when someone experiences some situation, you might be angry or frustrated at this person, thinking that they are the ones who are causing your painful feelings. Because if someone murdered somebody close to you, you would probably hate that person, right? But that person isn't causing your painful feelings. They're not causing your hate. It's coming from your own mind holding on and craving permanence. So we can disagree with the choices and decisions that someone makes while still loving the person. Because if you can only love people who do things your way, there's only one person in the world that you can love. And you guys figured this out, right? Who's the one person that does things your way? Yourself. Right? And you might even find that hard to do, to love yourself sometimes. So you need to get used to other people making decisions differently than you. And that's okay. That's normal. That's impermanence. But if you crave, if you desire, if you have a longing, yearning for everybody to make decisions your way, and you can only love people that make decisions your way, you're only ever going to be able to love one person, because there's only one person in the world that does and makes decisions exactly your way all the time. So you need to learn that people making decisions differently than you, that's their decisions. And they are a being with free will, and they're going to make decisions differently than you, and that's okay. And you can love the person, meaning you have a genuine interest in seeing them be well, while disagreeing with the choices and decisions that they make. So I have never met anyone in my entire life that has agreed with 100% of the decisions that their parents made. Is there anybody here that agreed with 100% of the decisions their parents made? Anybody at all? No? I still haven't found anybody that has agreed with their parents' decisions 100% of the time. The reason why is because our parents have had different experiences than us. So they're going to make decisions differently than us, right? Same as our friends, same as our coworkers. They've had different experiences than us in life. They have different thoughts and different ideas, and that's okay. That's just impermanence. The entire world is impermanent. So if we expect our parents to be a certain way, if they fall short of those expectations, you might be angry or frustrated, irritated with them, right? Where you can get rid of your expectations and just love people as they are. Have appreciation, have gratitude for the fact that you have this life, this wonderful life, to now be able to train your mind and get to this enlightened mental state where you can be peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy. The mind can be focused. You can have clarity of mind, deep memory. These are all qualities that an individual will have as they purify their mind and get to enlightenment. You can get to the point where your personal and professional relationships are really blossoming and they're at ease because you're not being bitter and harsh and hostile in your relationships any longer. You can get to the point where you don't even have a bad mood any longer because you've uprooted the causes and conditions that are producing it. The way you get to that is through cultivation of wisdom. You need to train your mind about the natural laws. There are certain natural laws that are affecting you whether you're aware of it or not. And if you don't know these natural laws, if you don't have the wisdom of it, you will struggle and you'll have difficulties. That's what the stress and the anxiety and the frustration and all that is it's showing you that there are certain things about this world that you don't know yet. Just like when we grew up with the natural law of gravity, we didn't understand that natural law and it affected us whether we were aware of it or not. And we had a lot of difficulties with this natural law. We fell down, we hit our head, we broke our toys, we busted our elbows, we bled, we cried, we were really upset because we didn't understand this natural law. We didn't believe in this natural law, but slowly but surely we awakened. We cultivated wisdom of this natural law. And as we did, we started making wiser and wiser decisions, right? We can see very clearly that the natural law of gravity is a real thing. We can actually see it with our own eyes. We're not believing it. We can see that it's true. And then we started tying our shoes a bit tighter. We started, being more calm. We walked around, stopped being giddy and bouncing around so much. And now we're at the point where we can ride bicycles. We can climb ladders. We can get on airplanes, fly all over the world because we fully have wisdom of the natural law of gravity. We don't struggle with that anymore because we fully understand it. But at the age of 1, 2, 3, 4 years old, we struggled with the natural law of gravity. And that's why we were upset, because we didn't understand the world we lived in. Well, there's other natural laws that are affecting you, whether you're aware of it or not. And the Buddha taught these natural laws. And as you learn these natural laws and don't believe in them, now as you awaken to the wisdom of these natural laws, you will actually be able to function in the world more peacefully, more harmoniously, getting to the point where your mind is completely peaceful and joyful. It's a permanent mental state. By the time you get to enlightenment, it's physically impossible to experience anger or frustration or any of these other discontent feelings. So this is accomplished through training of the mind. There's not a bunch of belief and hoping something good happens when you die. It's not rules or commandments. It's not any kind of rites or rituals and ceremonies and worship. That's not what the Buddha actually taught. So as you're gradually learning and gradually training your mind, you're learning about the world around you and these natural laws. The main natural law that you're learning about, we refer to it as the natural law of karma. Some people call it karma. You might have heard that word. This doesn't translate to just one English word, or I would just use that because it would be easier for everyone. What this means is cause and effect, or action and result, the results of your decisions. It's not anything mystical or magical. It's not about who's to blame or who's at fault. It's none of that kind of stuff. It's not any punishments and rewards. What the natural law of karma is that whenever you make a decision, either wisely or unwisely, you will experience either wholesome results or wholesome karma, or you will experience unwholesome results or unwholesome karma. So when you awaken to the wisdom of this natural law, you will naturally make wiser and wiser and wiser decisions, experiencing more and more wholesome things coming back to you because you understand this natural law. But when you lack wisdom of this natural law, when you're experiencing unwholesome things in your day-to-day life, what the unenlightened mind tends to do is blame other people for the things that you're experiencing. And as long as you're going around the world blaming other people for what you're experiencing, you'll never actually be able to solve the challenges that you're experiencing because the mind thinks it's everybody else that's causing me to experience these things, right? What people will typically think is it's good luck or bad luck, or it's destiny or fate, or it's other people that are causing me to experience this. Or some people think that it's a being like God or some entity called the universe that is controlling what it is that you experience in your day-to-day life. As long as you have this lack of wisdom that you think it's these things, then you can never focus on the real solution to actually improve your decision-making by making wiser and wiser decisions, because your mind isn't looking at the real source of what you're experiencing, because you can't change good luck or bad luck. You can't change destiny or fate. You can't change God or some entity called the universe, and you can't change other people. But you can change yourself. You can change your own mind. Because if you resign yourself to the thinking that what you experience in day-to-day life is coming from other people or God or good luck or bad luck or destiny or fate, you're locked in. You're like a robot. You have no ability to change anything about your life. And you know that's not true, right? It's not true that what you experience is from your own decisions. And if you can't see that truth, ask yourself these questions. Who chose where you're sitting right now? Who chose the hairstyle that you have? Who chose the clothes that you're wearing? Who chose where you live? Who chose your job or occupation? Who chose the friends that you have? Right? We could just go on and on and on. Who chose whether or not you ate breakfast this morning or not? Who chose what you ate for breakfast if you ate breakfast this morning? Who made these choices, right? Everything that you're experiencing in life is a result of the decisions that you're making. And when you make decisions wisely, you will experience wholesome results or wholesome karma. And when you make decisions unwisely, you will experience unwholesome results or unwholesome karma. And with a lack of wisdom of this natural law of karma, you will tend to make unwise decisions. And it will produce unwholesome results in your life. And one of those unwholesome results is the anger, the frustration, the stress, the anxiety, the guilt, the shame, the fear. These are all indications to you that your mind is not yet awake, that it's not yet enlightened. It's like driving a car. And if a red light on the dashboard of the car came on, you'd be like, oh, this car's got a problem. Let me pull over. Let me investigate. Let me see what's going on with this car, right? You might take it to somebody like an auto mechanic. Well, the stress, the anxiety, the guilt, the shame, the fear, that's the red light on the dashboard of your car alerting you that your mind is not yet awake to this enlightened mental state. And as you use that as an indication, you can look within your own mind and you can see that it's your own mind that's causing these feelings, that it's craving, desire, attachment, longing, and yearning. Your mind wants things to be a certain way. And if you get things your way, you feel happy or excited or elated, some other pleasant feeling. And if you don't get what you want, you get painful feelings like anger, sadness, frustration, and others. But remember, I said the teachings of the Buddha aren't based in belief. So don't believe what I'm sharing with you here today. Think about this yourself. Bring it into your life. Think about a recent situation where you've been angry, where you've been frustrated, you've been agitated or annoyed. It might have been this morning, it might have been yesterday, it might have been last week. You can look at that situation. At that time, you might have been trying to blame somebody else for what you're experiencing, but look at it through these new wisdom, these fresh eyes. What was it that you wanted? You wanted or expected something. And if you would have got what you wanted, you would have been happy or excited. But because you didn't get what you wanted, you were angry or frustrated or sad or some other discontent feeling, maybe annoyed. So you can look at it yourself. And if you are having difficulty seeing the truth that your mind is causing these feelings itself, let me know and I will help you, because I'm going to open up to questions here in a moment, right? So you need to be able to see within your own life that your mind is causing these feelings itself. Because if you don't see it yourself, if you don't cultivate the wisdom to know the truth, you'll continue to go around the world thinking other people are causing you to be angry or frustrated. Right? Here's an example. One time a student said to me, they said, David, I went to work the other day and my house looked beautiful. And when I came home, my wife had this craft project all over the house. And when I walked in, I got frustrated. I got agitated or annoyed. How did my mind cause this? My wife's the one who had the craft project all over the house. I wasn't even there. Didn't she cause me to be frustrated? And I said, no, your mind caused it itself. And they were like, how? And I said, well, you had this craving for permanence. You wanted your house to look a certain way permanently. And when you went to work, you had the expectation that when you came home, it was going to look exactly the same when you came home. But you live in an impermanent world where things are constantly changing. You can't live in a world that is permanent. That's not the world that you live in. You live in an impermanent world where things are constantly changing. And if you're craving permanence, when you come home and you see the house looks different than it did when you went to work, you will be frustrated because you expected the house to look a certain way, and it just can't look that way permanently. It's just not possible. And this craft project that your wife has all over the house, that's not permanent either. She will put it away, or you will help her to put it away perhaps. Right? So as long as your mind is craving permanence, you will keep causing yourself to be frustrated or agitated or annoyed. So like a relationship, when you get together with a boyfriend or girlfriend, when you guys are together, you're happy. But then when you guys separate, you're angry or frustrated. Maybe you're lonely or bored. Maybe you're missing that person. Maybe they go away on a business trip and now you're feeling lonely or bored, right? Or missing that person. This is because of the mind craving permanence and wanting this person to be permanent in your life when in reality they are impermanent. So this is just a little bit of a taste of the teachings of the Buddha. As I mentioned, we have multiple programs here that are going to help you to be able to really learn the deep detail of the teachings of the Buddha and how to train your mind and transform it so that you can experience peace and joy. You can learn that here at the temple, but you can also learn through our live stream, like there's students joining us right now that are online. So you guys are always welcome to learn here, or as you travel, you can come in through the live stream, or you can watch the recordings and things like this. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up to any questions that you guys might have. If you have questions about your own personal life, certain challenges that you're experiencing, I can help you with that. If you have questions about the teachings of the Buddha, like meditation practices or any aspect of the path to enlightenment that the Buddha taught, I can help you with that. If there's certain things that you're seeing here in Thailand, like at the temples or with the ordained practitioners, or anything that you're seeing in the world that you don't understand, that you would like help with, feel free to ask those questions. If you would like to ask a question and you're here at the temple, we have microphones in the white bowl here in the middle of the room. Just get a microphone, press the gray button. You're going to see the lights come on, and you just hold it up to your chin, and we'll be able to hear you here at the temple, and they'll be able to hear you online. And then you can keep these microphones with you because you might have more than one question, or someone around you might have a question, and you can just share the microphone. And then when you're not using it, if you could just turn it off, then we won't get feedback through the speaker system. And then for those of you guys that are online, if you guys would like to ask questions, you can put that into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom in the comment section, and I'll be able to see that. Or in Zoom, you can electronically raise your hand and then unmute your microphone, and then we'll be able to hear you here at the temple and throughout the live stream. So is there anybody here or anybody online that would like to ask a question? Okay, it looks like Eamon has a question. We also have one coming in here on Zoom from Melody. Hi, Melody. It says, it sounds like wanting to build a family together with a partner to some extent is a kind of expectation. It can be, but it doesn't have to be, right? It's not about the thing itself, right? It's not about the object. It's about how the mind pursues it, right? So you could pursue it as a longing or yearning or chasing after something, but you don't have to. You can gradually work towards these things as a goal or an objective or an interest, right? So the example that I give to help you see that it's not the object itself is like, say that I was on my way to a hike and I was going hiking and I had a liter of water in my car. And now I'm on this hike and I've left my liter of water in the car. Maybe I'm 30 minutes down the trail. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I forgot my water. I'm going to be out here for 6 or 8 hours. I got to go get my water. And now I run and hurry to get back to my car. Maybe I twist my ankle on the way. I sling open the door to the car and I grab the water. I'm like, water, 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 water. Right? Because the mind's longing, yearning for this water. So it's all shaken up when it realizes that it doesn't have it because it's craving this permanence. Well, there could be somebody else out on the trail who also forgot their water. And they're like, I forgot my water. I'm going to be out here for a while. I'm going to be out here for 6 or 8 hours. I should probably go get my water. And now you just calmly make your way back to the car and you get your water and you're like, sweet, I got my water. Now let me go on my hike. Right? So the object is exactly the same, but the difference is the way that the mind is processing this experience. That in the first example, the person was longing and yearning for this water, craving for it to be permanent, and now all shaken up, realizing that it doesn't have it. The second example, the person completely understood, like, just forgot my water. It's not permanent. And my feelings are not attached to whether I have this water or not. So it's not the object of whether you choose to have a family or a child. You can actually have children and you can have a life partner. You can have a family, all these kinds of things. The Buddha had a family, right? So he ended up leaving for a period of time to train his mind, but he ended up coming back to be with his family. That wasn't the only reason why he came back. He came back to actually share the teachings, but his wife, his son, his stepmother, his cousins and brother-in-laws and people like this, they were all coming to learn with him and ordaining with him. So you don't have to eliminate your relationships. You just need to learn how to not be attached to them and not hold on to them. So for example, right now, my wife is in the USA. She's Thai. We live here together with our 12-and-a-half-year-old son. But about twice a year, she goes to the USA for an extended period of time in order to work. Well, we really enjoy it when mom's here. We have a great time when mom's around, right? We have a good time. We enjoy that period of time. But when she chooses to leave, we enjoy that too. We still have fun. Me and my son have a great life. We enjoy our time here when she's not here as well. So we don't miss her. We don't feel lonely. We're not bored, but we love her, of course. We have a genuine interest in seeing her be well. So you can have relationships and not be attached, but you need to learn how to do that. Practicing non-attachment doesn't mean that you eliminate your relationships. It means that you learn how to not hold on to them, expecting them to be permanent, and now basing your inner feelings on whether this person is with you or not. Because if you can only be happy when this person's with you, then that means your happiness is not permanent. You need to be able to train your mind to be happy when you're with this person, but also be happy when you're away from them. And now you can maintain your happiness all the time. But if you can only be happy when you have this person, then your happiness is temporary. It's the same thing that if you're happy when your bank account balance gets here, then when it goes here, you'll be sad or frustrated. Or if you're happy when it's sunny outside, when it rains, you'll be sad or irritated or annoyed, right? So if you base your inner feelings on some object, that object is not permanent. So that means your feelings are not permanent either. So as soon as you base your happiness on some object, you're just sabotaging your ability to have permanent happiness and permanent joy. Because this object that you based your happiness on is impermanent. This is why individuals aren't able to get to permanent peace and permanent joy, because their mind isn't trained to be inwardly happy and inwardly joyful, inwardly peaceful. It's basing its happiness on some external thing. If I get a brand new pair of shoes, I'm happy. If I get some new jewelry, I'm happy. If I get a boyfriend or girlfriend, I'm happy. If I get a new job or a new promotion or I get a raise at work, I'm happy. But if those things aren't happening, then you're not happy, right? So that's the problem with the unenlightened mind, is it's going up and down and up and down. So you can get to a point where you have relationships, Melody, but you're not attached to them. You're inwardly joyful. You're inwardly happy. You enjoy the time that you spend with them, but you can also enjoy the time when you're away from them. Amen. You have a question?
Thank you, teacher. I don't really know if I do have a question. It's relating to what you're saying. It's a couple of things. I have just something going on with a bank, an international bank, right? Bank, and like you say, the bank or no one at the bank is behaving as I want them to. They're not saying what I want them to say, and of course, this has caused me a lot of frustration. I feel slighted, and but I've been implementing the teachings here, and I think I've found some kind of success. I don't know if that's the right word, but I've managed to separate myself from the frustration I felt and the way I feel I've been mistreated, to that I have no real influence over this. And I've thought through what if I was to kind of protest, send some horrible email, and I thought, no, that sounds like destructive. So I've decided not to do that. But I must say, there's something feels a bit unsatisfactory. I feel like there's something I'm not dealing with. It's like having a problem on a car, a rattling sound, but I think, I'll just leave that. It's that kind of gnawing kind of thing. And another thing, I have a good friend. He's very, very poorly. He's very mature, and he's dying. I'm fairly sure he'll die fairly soon, and he wants to die as well. He's very, very unhappy, and I spent some time with him recently, and as I was coming away from the place where he's staying, I checked myself, and I thought, of course I'm thinking about the impermanence of life as well. It's a very mature man. He's very old. Okay. And he's waiting to die, and a bit like my situation, I'm not comparing this man's life or his death to my problem with a bank, but I was just have this feeling of being unaffected and not detaching from it, like not engaging with having some spat with a bank, and really not engaging with this sadness, which I might have assumed I would have really felt about this old man dying. And feeling detached from all of that. It's just an odd feeling. So I don't really know if this is a question, but it's kind of odd to actually start to experience non-attachment and really feel that. And I thought, shouldn't I feel really sad? This man. I'd like to say his name is David, because he's a man I like. I just want to keep his name around, But shouldn't I feel really sad by that? Or I have a dim view of bankers. Shouldn't this building full of shysters be told by me that they're criminals? I don't know.
Okay, so a couple of things here. So when you're training your mind and you start to experience these things where in the past you would have gotten sad, now you're not experiencing that anymore, it feels quite odd because the mind's not used to it. Right? It's used to someone's going to die, so therefore I should grieve, I should be sad, I should be sorrowful, right? And what our mind has thought in the past is that means we care about this person or that we love this person. But the more that you see that that's not the love, that's the craving, desire, attachment, and you start getting to the point where you're not attached, but you of course have love and care for this person, when you know that they are dying or they will die or they have died, you can maintain your joy and peacefulness, and you're not upset, you're not sorrowful. But it takes time for the mind to be able to get comfortable with that and have enough of those experiences where it's like, there is care there is concern there is love there, but I'm just not upset. And now this becomes your new normal. where before it was normal for you to get upset and sad when people are dying. But that just keeps your mind going up and down like this all the time, because it's only a matter of time before someone close to you dies. But more and more as you experience people dying and you're not upset, this becomes the new normal. And you can see like, no, I have care, I have love for this person, I just am not upset. So like my mom, when she died in 2017, I wasn't upset. I didn't grieve at all. And not because I didn't love her, right? But earlier in my life, my girlfriend died when I was 16, and I was deeply sad because I didn't know these teachings and I hadn't trained my mind. So for a good 3 years, I was very sad, right? And then my grandfather died when I was in my early 20s. But I was only sad for 3 months, 2 or 3 months during that period. Then the next person that died close to me was my stepfather, and I didn't grieve at all. I loved him, I cared for him, but I didn't have any attachment to him. And then later in 2017, my mother died, and I didn't grieve. And my grandmother will die next. She's almost 102 years old. She will die next. And I love her dearly. She's contributed to my life significantly, but I'm not going to grieve when she died, because the only thing that happened here is impermanence. Because she was born, she has to die. There's no way around that. So my mind is already understood and accepted that yes, she's going to die. And this is normal. It's a normal part of life. So if we can only be happy if we get what we want and we're getting permanence, then you can't be happy all the time. So your mind just needs to get used to experiencing these things and understand that that's normal, that you're not upset, you're not sad, you're not frustrated, but it will feel odd for a period of time. In terms of the situation with the bank, practicing non-attachment and non-craving doesn't mean that you don't try to solve the issue or sort out the issue, right? Sometimes people think that that's what it means, like, oh, I'm unattached, so I'm not even going to talk to these people. Because what we're used to before you learn these teachings is if you don't get what you want, you're bitter and harsh and hostile toward them. And that was what you were talking about with initially you thought maybe to send an email, but then you were like, nah, that's not going to help anything. So that's really good that you decided not to send that email because being bitter and harsh and hostile isn't going to solve anything. But practicing non-attachment doesn't mean you don't go talk to the bank or you don't call up a manager or customer service and say, hey, it looks like there's some issues here. And it seems like that there needs to be some better decision making. And it seems like the wise decisions aren't being made. And I would like to talk to someone that can make some better decisions here. You can do that using right intention, right speech, and right action. You can address the issue. It doesn't mean that you just accept whatever's going on. So like one time there was a situation at my son's school where he told me that this boy had hit him like 7 or 8, 9 different times. And I was like, really? Why didn't you tell me on the first time? And he was like, oh, it wasn't no big deal. You know, it was just, he slapped me. And he was like, but now it's gotten worse. It's like 7 to 9 different times that this kid has slapped him. So I talked to the school and I informed the school. Well, initially the school wasn't handling it very well at all. They were blaming my son for this, which was funny now. But back then it was like, this is really concerning that you would blame somebody else for being slapped and bullied. And then we talked to a couple of my son's friends and they were being hit by this kid too. And they had been at this school since first grade. And at this time they were in like 6th grade, 5th or 6th grade. So there were people that were being bullied by this kid for like 4 or 5 years, and the school didn't do anything about it. So once they got the issue, they were handling it, in my opinion, in an unwise way by blaming other people. So I didn't just say, okay, non-attachment, I'm not going to get involved. Whatever you guys decide is fine for me. Instead, I elevated it to other people's attention and made sure other people were aware of what was going on. And I was making suggestions of how they could potentially address this issue. But I did it politely, kindly, friendly, and respectfully. And then eventually they ended up solving the issue. They didn't do it the way that I would have done it, but they solved it. They did it their way. They had a completely different approach than I would have taken, but they still solved it. And that's all that mattered, right? So in my mind, I didn't have a craving for them to do it my way. I was just interested in seeing it get solved. So, in your situation with your bank, you can call them up and make suggestions and talk to managers or supervisors or whatever it is you need to do, but just do it politely, kindly, friendly, and respectfully, and see if you can get a better result than what you have right now. I don't know what the details are unless you would like to share it, but you know what those details are, and you can address it peacefully and respectfully with the bank. And then at the end of the day, they may decide to make different decisions that has a better outcome for you, but they also may not. And you need to be willing to accept whatever happens, but you can still apply effort to try to get an improved decision. That's an option that you can do without the craving, without the longing, without the yearning, without the bitterness and harshness and hostility. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, let's see. We have another question coming in here on Zoom. Let's see. We have a question from Chris. Chris is asking, what if you left a job because it didn't resonate with, that's Omar, sorry. What if you left a job, but because it didn't resonate with you anymore? You had savings, explored several areas, but still haven't arrived at a realization of which thing, right livelihood, to do. Then your savings has almost or is already depleted. Was that leaving the job an aversion? I believe not. On the other hand, our bodies have basic needs which need money. How do we try to be stable mind? Okay, so let me help you with this one. First, let's talk about what an aversion is. What aversion is where you're experiencing a certain situation and there's other people involved, and now you're experiencing painful feelings within your own mind, like anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, things like this. These are very painful to experience. The mind, with its lack of wisdom, will tend to attribute those painful feelings to something external. You will think it's this person or this situation that is causing those painful feelings. And what aversion is that you push this person away or you push the situation away, thinking that that's going to solve your problems. That's aversion, where you're pushing a person away or you're pushing a situation away, thinking that that's going to solve your painful feelings. This is based in what's called wrong view, because you don't understand that it's not this person and it's not this situation that's causing your painful feelings. Instead, what you can choose to do is you can choose to move on from a job or a relationship or any of these other things. You can choose to move on so that if you're experiencing painful feelings, you understand like, these are painful feelings. They're based on my craving, desire, attachment. I know that I need to eliminate those, and I'm going to choose to move on from this situation. So aversion isn't just the fact that you're moving on or you're leaving the relationship or you're leaving the job. Aversion is when your mind falsely believes any painful feelings or discomfort that you're experiencing in the situation is coming from the other person or coming from the situation. And by pushing it away, the mind thinks that it's going to solve its problem, but it's not going to solve it, because the underlying thing that's causing those discontent feelings is within your own mind. It's craving and wanting and expecting things to be a certain way. So for example, say you're in a relationship with a friend, and say your friend is supposed to come pick you up at 9 a.m. in the morning, and they come at 9:30 instead. And now when they show up at 9:30, you're really angry and frustrated. And you're like, I'm not going to be this person's friend anymore because I'm so angry. I'm going to push them away. And now I'm not going to be their friend anymore. And the mind thinks in this situation, I've just solved my problem. But you haven't. Because what the mind had there was a craving, a longing, a yearning for everybody to be on time. And it's just not possible for that to occur because you live in an impermanent world. If you crave permanence and everybody has to come to your house and pick you up at exactly 9 o'clock, when someone's 9:05, 9:10, 9:15, you'll be angry and frustrated. And if you attribute those painful feelings to something external, you might push that friend away, and now you ruined an otherwise wonderful relationship. Where if you understand that those painful feelings are coming from your own mind, then you understand like, this is just impermanence. It's not possible for everybody to pick me up at 9 a.m. exactly on time. It's just not possible. There's traffic, there's weather issues. Maybe your friend had some issue at home. They needed to help their mom or their dad or their wife or their husband or something, their children. And if you want everybody to do it your way, that's your selfishness. So those painful feelings that you're experiencing are coming from your own cravings. But if you don't understand the wisdom of that, you might push this person away and think that that's solving your painful feelings, where it's not. Because the very next friend that you have that doesn't show up on time, you're going to experience painful feelings in that situation too. And now you're going to push that person away. And now you're going to push that person away and push that person away. And now you can't be friends and harmoniously with everybody unless they do things your way. So this aversion is where you think that your painful feelings are coming from something external and you're pushing people or you're pushing a situation away, thinking that that's going to solve the problem when it really doesn't. Because the very next situation you're in that has that same criteria, you're going to get angry and frustrated again. But also, you could choose to leave out of a relationship, and it can be a wise decision. So say, for example, you were in an abusive relationship where someone was physically hitting you and abusing you, and you chose to leave out of that relationship. You might even have painful feelings as a result of that situation, but you could still choose to leave out of that situation. You could still choose to leave that relationship, realizing that that's a wise decision, because it's unwise to be in an abusive relationship where someone's physically abusing you. But now, as you're leaving that relationship, you understand any painful feelings that you're having is happening within your own mind, and you need to train your mind. So you can look from the outside looking in, the same thing is occurring, that somebody is leaving a relationship. In the first example, someone's pushing this person away because they think the painful feelings are coming from that person, when in reality, they're coming from their own mind. In the second example, they're choosing to leave out of a relationship as part of a wise decision, because it's unwise to be around people who are physically abusing and physically hitting you. And now you're maintaining right view, where you understand any painful feelings that you're having within your own mind are being caused by your own mind. And now you need to train your mind in order to eliminate those painful feelings. So this is what aversion is. So let me look at your question one more time and make sure I answer the rest of it. So what if you left a job because it didn't resonate with you? Okay, if you're leaving a job and you're not interested in working at that job, that's fine. You're going to have multiple different jobs until you get to an actual job that you thoroughly enjoy, you have ambition and enthusiasm about. Right now, you might not be in that job. By the time you get to what the Buddha describes as a right livelihood, you will thoroughly enjoy what you do in your work day by day. Right now, you might not be in that situation. You might feel bored, or you might feel like your job is mundane, or you might feel unmotivated. And what the mind's typically doing in these situations is holding on to something. You're usually holding on to the money, you're holding on to the title, you're holding on to the friends, maybe the office or location that you have. You're holding on to these things, but you really don't enjoy the work that you're doing. In order to get to this peaceful and joyful mental state, which is enlightenment, you're going to need to have all parts of your life where you thoroughly enjoy everything you do. If you go to work each day and you're dragging yourself to work, you're going to feel miserable. For those 6, 8, 10, 12 hours that you're at work, you're going to feel miserable. That's not the way that it has to be. You can actually get to a point where you thoroughly enjoy the work that you're doing. For example, here in Thailand, if you go out on the street, you might see a lady who's selling mango and sticky rice. And maybe she woke up in the morning and she went out to her mango grove and she picked each one of her little mangoes and dusted them off and cleaned them up and brought them to the market and made her sticky rice and made her coconut milk. And now she slices those mangoes, pours the coconut milk over the sticky rice, and hands it to you with a big old smile on her face. And she thoroughly enjoys that work that she's doing, because she thoroughly enjoys providing this mango and sticky rice. So you've got to find your mango and sticky rice. What is your mango and sticky rice that you thoroughly enjoy doing? You need to have ambition and enthusiasm in the work that you're doing. If you don't have your mango and sticky rice right now, then you maybe need to find a new job, and that's okay. So you can leave a job and choose to go find another one. But it's important to be sure that you understand that it's not the external thing that's going to have you feeling satisfied. So if you're chasing money, or you're chasing a bigger car or a bigger title or some other thing like this, those things are all impermanent, and that's not what's going to make you happy. Right? You need to find what's that inner thing that you really enjoy. For example, when I first graduated college, I was doing computer work because I really wanted a lot of money, and I was working in IT, and I was making lots and lots of money, and that's what I was going for. But after about 7.5 years of that, I was like, I don't really like this anymore. And I changed, and I opened up my own business, because I enjoy helping people. And I opened up a business providing Thai massage to people back in America. And I started teaching Thai massage, and I thoroughly enjoyed this. But there was still a component of it that was about money, right? But we made lots and lots of money there, but I also helped a lot of people too. And ultimately, that wasn't what I was really interested in. And I switched and did a whole bunch of other things. But eventually, I got to what it is that I really thoroughly enjoy. I thoroughly enjoy helping people. And that's what I do today. And that's what I'll be doing for the rest of my life, is helping people to understand these natural laws. And you need to find what is it that you really thoroughly enjoy. And by the time you get to that, you will actually do this thing even if you didn't get paid for it. Right? Because I don't get paid for this. I don't have a salary from anybody. There's nobody that's paying me a salary to be here. I don't have to come here to actually teach. I'm not required to come here. It's a choice that I make. And before, I used to have a motorbike, and I'd be driving that motorbike here. It'd be pouring down, raining, and I just had a big old smile on my face. I couldn't wait to get to the temple. It was like, I'm going to be spending time with people and helping them understand the teachings of the Buddha so that they can learn how to be peaceful and joyful. So you need to find what is that thing that you have ambition about, or you have enthusiasm about, and you would do it even if you didn't get paid for it. Of course, you're going to need to get paid, because you're going to need a livelihood where you, like you said, that you can afford to buy food, clothing, shelter, and medical care. These are the things that you're going to need in order to sustain your life. But whatever you choose for your livelihood, you would like to make sure you're not causing harm to others. There's 5 things that can cause harm in your livelihood. If you sell weapons, weapons are meant to harm other beings. If you sell living beings, if you sell meat, if you sell substances that cause heedlessness, like drugs and intoxicants, if you sell poisons, these 5 things are going to cause harm to others. And if you're sustaining your life off of causing harm to others, then that harm is going to come back to you. So you would like to make sure that you're not involved in a business that sells weapons, living beings, meat, substances that cause heedlessness, and poisons. Any of these 5 things are going to cause harm, and therefore this harm is going to come back to you. So you would like to find a way to sustain your life in an activity that you thoroughly enjoy, you have ambition towards, and you can do that thing for the rest of your life, even if you didn't get paid for it. But the challenge is that you have craving in your mind. You have sensual desire. So your mind's going to be pulling you in all these different directions, just like my mind did when I graduated from college. It was pulling me in the direction of making money, and I went in that direction. And I did that for 7.5 years until I realized, this money isn't everything, right? This money isn't satisfying ultimately. And that's when I started switching and doing different things. So you're going to need to move around for a bit until you find that one thing that really you thoroughly enjoy. But all the while, it will be wise for you to be training your mind and eliminating your desires of longing, yearning, and just wanting money or prestige, that corner office with that beautiful view or whatever it is that your mind is longing, yearning for. You need to eliminate all that stuff so that your mind isn't longing, yearning for these things. That way you can find what is it that you thoroughly enjoy each and every day you could do this for the rest of your life, just like that mango and sticky rice, with a big old smile on your face, and you just thoroughly enjoy it, so that when you wake up in the morning, your feet hit the ground and you have nothing but ambition and enthusiasm to go do whatever it is that you do. If you're not living your life that way right now, it can feel very boring, very mundane type of life. You can feel like it's a drag to go to work each day. So the Buddha gives you guidance on how to develop a right livelihood. And if you'd like to see this, it's in our book series in volume 12, chapter 14. So if you're in between jobs right now, or if you're in a job that you don't really particularly care for, you can look at volume 12, chapter 14, and that's where you can see the Buddha's teachings on how to get to a livelihood that you thoroughly enjoy. And it's going to take training of your mind. There's no magic potion. You can't just snap your fingers and instantly get to this, but gradually over time, you can train your mind and you can get to that point where you thoroughly enjoy the work that you're doing. It doesn't even have to feel like work, right? Any other questions? Looks like we have some coming in on Zoom. Let's see. Okay, Melody says, what about doing some side jobs to support your life while keep looking for your sticky rice? Yeah, that's exactly what you would like to do. That's what I had to do. When I knew that I was going to be teaching the teachings of the Buddha long term, on the side, I was doing personal training and helping people exercise. And that was just a little bit of money just to be able to allow me to eat food and take care of this being so that I could then be working on writing books and all the other things that I needed to do. So yeah, that's something that people will typically do. You're welcome, Omar. Pleased to help you. Yes, sir.
More about love and attachment you mentioned. So how do you know the love you have for this thing or for this person is that you genuinely want it to be better, to improve, but not from your desire and craving? Do you ask some questions to yourself to make sure that thing? And secondly, if this kind of love, it has some part of it is from your desire and craving, and generally you will grow some attachment. How do you lower that kind of attachment?
Okay, so the way that you know that you're practicing true love is you need to look at your actions and the way that you function. Are you talking to this person in a way that you're putting your expectations on them? Are you trying to control them? So for example, when I didn't understand what true love is, I would go to my wife and I would say, hey, honey, you want to go to the movies? There's this really great movie coming out. I would like to take you to the movies. And she's like, no, I don't feel like it. I would like to stay home. And I'd be like, come on, you party pooper. I was like, this is the great movie. It's like a big blockbuster. It's like everybody's going to go see this movie. You got to come see this movie. And she's like, no, I would like to stay home. I was like, come on. I'm going to buy you dinner. We're going to go out to eat. Like, come on. Let's go eat. Let's go watch this movie, right? And I'm pressuring her to go. Well, eventually she might have relented and is like, all right, I'll go, right? And then she goes, and then she's grumpy and irritable the whole time. And then I'm grumpy and irritable the whole time because she's not having fun. And now it's just like, right? That's not true love. That's putting my expectations on her and trying to control her because I want something, which is I want her to come to the movies with me, right? That's a longing, a yearning, an expectation. I can't have fun unless you come to the movies with me, right? So this is the mind's craving, desire, attachment. What true love is, which is what I practice now, is, hey, now I don't call her honey anymore. I call her mommy or mom because she's his mom. Hey, Meja, there's this great movie coming out. I'd like to take you out on a date to go see this movie. Would you like to come? She's like, no, I'm going to stay home. Okay, wonderful. Have a great time. I'm going to go to the movies and see this new movie. She gets what she would like, which is to stay home and enjoy her rest. I get to go to the movies and have fun. So before I couldn't have fun unless she was with me because I was attached to her, where now there's no attachment. So I can just go to the movies and have fun by myself, right? So you got to look at your actions and the way you interact with somebody. Are you trying to force them? Are you trying to control them? Are you trying to get them to do things your way? Are you judging them and deciding whether or not you're going to be affectionate with them or not? Any of those things is not true love. True love is you love the person as they are. So I don't want anything from you. I don't expect anything from you. I just love you as you are. You didn't do anything to earn my love, so therefore you can't do anything to take this love away. So that's what true love is, that you didn't do anything to earn my love, so therefore I just love you as you are, and you can't do anything for me to stop loving you. So this is why I can love everybody, because I just would like to see everybody be well. And you didn't earn my love, so there's nothing you could do to stop me from loving you. Even if you were bitter and harsh and hostile and you yelled profanities at me, I would still love you. I don't agree with the way you function, that person is functioning, but I still love you, meaning I have a genuine interest in seeing you be well. But your wellness is your responsibility. So this is how you'll know that you're practicing true love, is that you won't be putting expectations on people, and no matter what they do, you still love them, meaning you have a genuine interest in seeing them be well. Can you repeat your second part?
Oh yeah, because a lot of time when you love a person or a thing, part of it might be desire, and the desire will grow attachment. How do you lower that kind of attachment?
Okay, so if you have a craving, desire, attachment, that's not the love. And what you're going to notice is you get angry, you get frustrated. When this person does things your way, you'll be happy. But when they don't do things your way, you'll be angry and frustrated with them. That's how you know you're attached to them, or you're attached to them doing things a certain way, right? So like your parents, you might be really happy with them in certain situations. You might be angry with them in other situations. That's your attachment. That's not the love. There might be love in there, but it's being tainted or polluted with the craving, desire, attachments. So when you get that craving, desire, attachment out of the way, your true love can shine through more and more. So what you need to do as a first step to get your cravings, desires, attachments out of the way is you need to learn and practice the Eightfold Path. This is the core central teaching of the Buddha. I'm going to be teaching this coming up in this program that we're going to be restarting on Sunday. It's 8 individual factors, and there's words that you need to learn, and you need to independently verify these teachings, and you need to practice them on a day-to-day basis, because this is what's going to eliminate your cravings, desires, attachments. We're going to be starting this Sunday, and then I'm going to be teaching basically an hour and a half each Sunday. And then, of course, on Wednesdays too, where I'm gradually going to be helping you to learn this. This is what's going to transform your mind from having craving, desire, attachment, where you're wanting and longing, yearning for people to do things a certain way. So this is like a first step. So that's why at the very beginning of the group learning program, I'm going to be teaching this. In fact, for those of you guys that might be around next week, I'm going to be teaching next week as well. All next week from Monday through Friday, I'm going to be teaching a Foundation in the Path to Enlightenment course, where it's going to be 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Monday through Friday. And I'm going to be teaching you all the foundational teachings that it takes to be able to train your mind. And this is a foundational teaching that I'm going to be teaching on Tuesday, because it takes me about 2.5 hours to teach this. And I'm going to be walking you through, taking a break in the middle, walking you through piece by piece and showing you how to understand this intellectually, how to reflect on it to independently verify it, and then how to practice it, integrating it into your day-to-day life, because that's what's going to transform your mind. So this is the first step. Then as you're implementing this more and more, and you're knocking down your cravings, desires, attachments, ultimately you need to learn what is true love. And that's in chapter 15 of this book. So I'm going to be getting to that on chapter 15, where you can learn to love people as they are. And you could go read it now if you'd like. It's available for you at no cost. You can start learning about true love, but it makes sense to learn this first. You really need to learn that. And that's in chapter 4 and chapter 5 to be able to learn this. You're welcome. And it's been taught many times, so it's been recorded on our YouTube channel, on our podcast. You can even watch it before next week or during the group learning program if you'd like. Okay, Omar's got Omar has another question. He says, my friend's partner asks for photos whenever that friend goes out to prove the truth of the travel or errand. What would advise to my friend if he does ask? if that's the case, if someone's putting their expectation on you that you send them pictures every time you go out, I would not do that, because the more you try to feed somebody's expectations, the more their expectations are going to grow. It's like a monster. And I'll give you an example, because this happened in my life. I learned this very early in life. When I was 17 years old, my family came to me and they said, you know, David, you're spending too much time with your guy friends. You need to get a girlfriend. And I was like, thought about that for a couple of months. And I was like, you know what? I'll go get a girlfriend. So I went and got a girlfriend. I started spending time with her. And then a couple of months later, they came to me and they said, hey, you're spending too much time with your girlfriend. You need to spend time with us. And I was like, man, you can't make these people happy, right? Because they have an expectation. You work really hard to get to that expectation. You meet their expectation. They get happy for a period of time, but then their expectations change. Right? So as long as you're feeding someone's expectations, their expectations are just going to grow and grow and grow. It's like feeding a monster, and this monster is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. So whenever people are putting expectations on you, it's important not to adopt that in your own mind. So even your parents, when your parents are putting expectations on you and trying to control you, if you work really hard to meet their expectations, they'll be happy for a period of time, but then their expectations are going to grow. It's going to change. And now you got to work really hard to do that. And next thing you know, you're going to work your way into a life that you don't even enjoy. You're living a life that your parents want, but you're not living the life that you are interested in, right? So when people start putting expectations on you, whether it's a friend or family member, just let it go in one ear and right out the other ear, right? You need to live the life that you would like to live. So if someone's putting expectations on you to send them photos when you're running an errand, I would just ignore that. I wouldn't do it at all, because they're just going to keep wanting that craving to be fulfilled. And if you send it, they're happy. And if you don't send it, they're angry and frustrated. But they're causing that anger themselves. And if they choose to no longer be friends with you because of that, then fine, move on. Get another friend that doesn't put expectations on you and doesn't try to control you like that. Any other questions you guys have? Okay. I'm not seeing any other questions anywhere. So what I'll do then is I'm just going to end by thanking all of you guys for coming to learn. Thank you for your interest to learn and practice the teachings of the Buddha. As I mentioned, if you guys would like to learn more, we have regular classes here, and you can attend them online as well. I teach on Sunday, Wednesday, and Saturday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. That's Thai time. But then I also have courses and retreats where you can really get in depth with this. Today is just like a little touching the surface just here and there. But if you'd like to really get in depth, if you take one of our courses or one of our programs, you'll be able to do that and get really in depth with it. I recommend that you start with this first book that, like I mentioned, you can get it from our website for free. You can take it and go print it. You can get printed versions here by reimbursing us for our printing cost, or you can get it on Amazon as well. So if you would like to get started on this journey to eliminating anger and sadness and frustration and stress and anxiety and all these other feelings, there's help here for you. I'm motivated to be able to help you. You just need to decide that you're ready to learn and grow and develop and get to this more peaceful, more joyful life, this better way of life that the Buddha taught. So my next class is going to be on Saturday and then one on Sunday. On Saturday is what's called the Pali Canon and English Study Group. On Sunday, we're going to be restarting the group learning program from the very beginning. It's a great time for anybody who's brand new to these teachings to be able to start from the very beginning. And then next Wednesday, of course, I'm going to be teaching meditation. Today, we just did meditation, but starting next week, I'm going to do a 4-part series on breathing mindfulness meditation. So you guys are always welcome to learn. You're welcome to ask me questions. Our website is a great hub because it has everything from there. That's buddhadailywisdom.com, and from there you can go out and see all the different resources that we share. So thank you again, and have a really wonderful and lovely rest of your day. We'll see you next time. Sawadee krap. Sawadee krap. Thank you again for watching. Enjoy your meditation. Look forward to seeing you online and answering any questions that you might have. Thank you so much.